one flush to the downside. I have marked out accumulation levels. Haven't reached that bottom range just yet. 12% to the downside. We are heading lower and lower, and the selling doesn't seem to stop here. The question is, from where is the selling actually coming? And I will show you today where and who is the entity that is crushing here the Bitcoin price into lower levels, and from where we can expect to go back to the upside. Let's go. As I promised, guys, I start directly off with from where the actual selling is happening, because we want to understand that you get a better picture of what's actually happening here. So, and the selling is coming from the miners, guys. The miners are selling. And why they are selling? Because of the Bitcoin halving. After the halving, the production cost doubled for the Bitcoin miners. Before, they were producing a Bitcoin around $30,000. Now it's $60,000 just to break even without making any profit. They were gobbling all their Bitcoins until the actually halving happened, and afterwards starting to sell to compensate for buying new machines to stay competitive with the rest of the mining market. And you see this also when we're going here to Glassnode and look at the correlation chart between Bitcoin miners holdings and the price action. So here around the Bitcoin halving in April, the 20th of April, the holdings peaked here locally. When you compare it here to the previous run, peaked here locally, then started to decline massively to the downside. So they are still holding 1.8 million Bitcoins in total that are not sold. We were at the peak here of 1.807 million Bitcoin. Now we are at 1.801 million Bitcoin. So they sold over 1,000 Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, they sold over 1,000 Bitcoin in the process here. And that is a heavy correlation between the price. You can see that price were here going sideways while the miners were peaking in Bitcoin holdings, and then we declined overall in the price action. In terms of the stage that we are in for the market is still the hope stage. In the hope stage, what you usually see is one flush to the downside. You can see that here when we entered the hope stage over here. So we were here in disbelief when we ran to the upside, then we entered the hope stage. Here you got this flush where everybody thought, oh, the bull market is over, so then we returned and continued this upwards trend. And we are now in the at the same point in terms of the market cycle. So we are again at the level where we are coming out of disbelief, price went to the upside, and now getting here a correction. And when you compare that to the previous one, the current correction is nothing to what we have had seen 4 years ago in the market. So I'm not really concerned here, but we need to watch certain levels for a potential bounce, and that is something that I'm going to show you here in a moment. Here on this 12-hourly chart, in terms of correction, when miners are capitulating, we also see something really interesting unfolding. First of all, I'm gonna explain you again how to read the hash ribbon. So the hash ribbon is creating here these dot plots. And you see when we are getting a minus capitulation, we have here a lot of green dots. And then at some point we get the blue dot. And that is mathematically the best moment to buy Bitcoin on higher time frames. So usually you do that on the daily or on the weekly chart, not on the 12-hourly chart. But because on these higher time frames, we don't have as much as dots currently, I decided to use the 12-hourly just for visual purposes. Every time when we got a minus capitulation happening, that is when we have here that red phase on the hash ribbon, price corrected to the downside. So here in 2022, we corrected 43.4%. So that was, of course, a really steep move to the downside in this capitulation. Then we saw another one where we corrected 12% to the downside, 23% to the downside, and now 16.2% to the downside. So now when we are going to look how long these corrections were lasting, then you see here that was 149 days. The next one lasted for 110 days. This one was quite short. That was 77 days. sorry, 38 days, so shorter. So 74 days, 55 days, 38 days. I forgot we are on a 12-hourly chart, not on a daily chart. And now currently this one is at 41 days. Yeah, 40-ish days right now. And we have not plotted yet the buy signal on the hash ribbon. Once we're getting the buy signal, technically the bottom should be in. It usually happens a little bit delayed by a day or two. But this is the plot that we're waiting for to get here, this buy signal in, and know that the miners stopped capitulating in this market environment right now. Because when you go here to the daily chart, you see normally when you get the blue dot, price action starts to slowly climb back to the upside. Here also blue dot slowly comes back and pushes to the upside. Here blue buy signal slowly push to the upside. It is correlating all the time to that buy signal on the hash ribbon. So, and yeah, we are potentially just a couple days away from getting it at current price levels. Now, in terms of the correction duration, so we are now over 103 days in that current correction cycle. Of course, price action is not what we want to see here, $61,100 approximately. But I believe from everything what I see in the market that we are really, really close to the bottom, and it is time to buy more Bitcoin, guys. I will show you here in a moment the exact levels where I want to buy from. But also, before we do that, I want to remind you that we are still not through the 160 days correction phase and sideways movement after the Bitcoin halving, where we are going to break the pre-halving high. So that has not happened yet. Again, that should be somewhere around September. I want that you don't forget about this. Even if we push now to the upside and potentially back to like $72,000, $73,000, it would be a premature breakout and shortening the 160-day sideways movement that we usually get after a halving, if that would occur on the chart. So most of us would welcome that, I'm sure of that. But what you also see is, just to put things into perspective, we are close to the bottom of that range, but we haven't reached that bottom range just yet. So there is technically the possibility that we still go all the way down to like $57,000, $56,000. And we have mentioned that multiple times here on this channel in the past, that there is a slight chance that we're getting these lower prices. And I can tell you, if we ever get there, buy as much as you can, because we're not staying there for a really long time, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to liquidation levels, you see that we have mostly cleared everything that was below us. Also here, $59,000 or is a level of confluence. We can technically reach that level, but then there is not really a lot of liquidity below us to take out anymore. And we surely going to get a bounce to the upside to liquidate all these over-leveraged short positions that have built up above us. Because look at this, there's so much liquidity between $64,000 and $68,400. At some point, we're coming for it and gonna take this out. And I think really that we're just a couple of days away from that. Also, when we're going here to the liquidation heat map, we get the same picture. You see that this cluster from $66,000 to $68,000. And below us, I mentioned it just yesterday, we could come all the way down to the $60,000 cluster, which we tapped earlier today. And from there should get a bounce back to the upside, because below that there is some liquidity, but nothing crazy. So the main liquidity remains here in the higher price levels currently. The golden ratio on the 12-hourly chart has unfortunately not held as support as we were expecting it, but the 0.786 level looks like the level that Bitcoin might potentially bounce from. Just need a couple more hours to basically confirm that. But if the current, so the prior 12-hourly candle marked the low at $60,655. That would be extremely bullish. Then on the way up, we just need to break the downward sloping trend line, and we should resume the upwards trend in terms of price direction. Lose the 0.786 level, and we will go sub $60,000. So I want you to be prepared for that. So as you can see here, I have marked out accumulation levels where I'm gonna add more to my spot and to my long positions. If we get back to 60,000, I'm gonna buy more $58,000 and $56,000, and I will have a stop loss on my spot and my leverage positions. at $52,000. Lose 52, and we are completely changing macro structure, also on the higher time frames, and we need to reconsider and what kind of market state we are in currently. And guys, don't forget, if you want to trade spot or a future somewhere, do it on BYBIT. You still get $30,000 absolutely for free for using the link down below here. If you cannot use BYBIT, use Margex, because they don't have any KYC, so you can use that more or less from anywhere in the world. Or if you just want to copy trade me, go to Fairdesk. The highest bonus in the industry, $120,000, is up for grasp here with the link down below. So I know I should have picked the last couple of days potentially a winner. I'm going to tell you it will happen really, really soon for the $1,000 on BYBIT. It's not happening today, but soon, guys. Remember, I told you it will be absolutely random. It can be 7 days, it can be 5 days, it can be 8-9 days approximately. So watch out for that. So here might be potentially your last chance to be part of the giveaway for the $1,000. Sign up on BYBIT, deposit $100, open one single trade. It can be even $1, it doesn't matter. In, out, on leverage, and then sign up, be subscribed to the channel and also have the notifications activated. And then in the next, who knows, maybe even in the next 24 hours, we're going to pick a new winner here in the show. When I move on here to altcoins, then you can clearly see that the trajectory that drawn in here was perfectly matching the current movement of the Bitcoin dominance chart, but unfortunately not the price action as I was looking forward to see that. So the dominance went up, came down, while price action came down. So that is, of course, not a really good sign. Now, what I would expect is that the Bitcoin dominance will start rising again to create here this lower high compared to the higher high here, and the Bitcoin price action will come back to $65,000, potentially $68,000. It would be still an inverse head and shoulders pattern in that case if we are not going lower than the low that we put in today, and then also see, of course, the dominance rising back to the upside with Bitcoin going up, and then get a rejection on the dominance. And when we're then going finally down, we get the movement in altcoins that we want to see. Something else that I observed in altcoins today that was also really, really interesting to see was that while Bitcoin was dumping based on the Mt. Gox news that they are potentially able to repay the clients 142,000 Bitcoins in total as early as next month, was that while Bitcoin was having a massive red candle to the downside, altcoins were not reacting that much anymore to that news event and to that initial flush that Bitcoin saw. So here Ethereum is holding really, really good, the $3,200 level. Also here, I had pointed out for a long time already that here was this fair value gap in Ethereum, and that could have gotten filled at any point. So we missed it by like $100 more or less. So there is still a chance that we come all the way down here before we get the reversal. But the current support level at $3,200 is a strong support level overall. So, and that could have been the low for Ethereum here. Again, I'm not ruling out that we are not going $100 lower to completely fill this fair value gap and only then reversing back to the upside. Here, the most important level to watch right now would be a reclaim of $3,400 and a break of this downward sloping trend line. If we get to revisit $3,200, that will be a big accumulation level for me. I was able to scoop up a little bit of Ethereum here already, but yeah, I can never have enough of that. Then another coin that was performing quite well today overall was NIA. We retested here the inflection point, the downward sloping trend line here, and also this longer term downward sloping trend line. We tested here $5.55, got rejected from here. I expect that we potentially come back to like $4.80-ish, and that will be our support level from where we finally get a move above $6. So current levels are also good for accumulation. If you're looking for sub $5, you might get it, and there I will also buy as much as I can, because who knows how long we're going to stay there, because on the weekly chart we are at the bottom, so that might be your last week to buy cheap near before next week we are going to send this to the upside. The same goes for Phantom. Phantom has here a big consolidation going on since last Tuesday, so almost a week now that we're consolidating here, and was also holding up quite strong compared to the rest of the market in this drop phase for Bitcoin. You see here on the 4-hourly, we have stochastic pointing to the upside, almost no selling pressure at all on the MACD. Only the RSI is here lagging in terms of the other two indicators. The reason for that might be that we are at a strong resistance level under this downward sloping trend line. Once we break this, that will be a really good entry for you to enter into Phantom, because that will easily push back to like 70 cents over the next 10 days approximately, maybe even faster than that. So I have a position open right now on Phantom. I had actually 2 positions open. They got closed in profit. I have now a new Phantom position and keep holding that past the 60 cents level. Then also Solana holding on quite strongly. Here we need to break the downward sloping trend line. Again, it's across the board the same picture that we are getting. Everywhere we have these downward sloping trend lines. Once they are broken, it will most likely happen also across the board, not like sporadically, most likely simultaneously on many coins, and Solana is also one of them. We have now filled completely the underlying fair value gap that we had below current prices, and saw here now a nice bounce back to the upside. But to be completely out of the woods, we need that break of this downward sloping trend line at around $131 right now. Once we're getting a daily close above that, it's basically blue skies back to the upside to like $160, $180, even $200 over the next coming weeks. You see here MACD losing a lot of steam here in terms of selling pressure. The stochastic RSI is still flatlining on the bottom. So any moment we could get a pinch here to the upside and price action breaking out to the upside. And also the RSI is getting here oversold. So also here we are really, really close to a bounce in major altcoins across the board. And guys, that's it already for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. There will be on Thursday potentially no episode, guys, because I will be traveling. But other than that, don't forget, smash up the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you then at least tomorrow.